What do you think is the main event for markets? Is it the US election or is it the Fed?
I think it's really the Fed and just broader is central bank policy. It's really got interesting because we got a reflation trade going on, and as excuse me, as inflation comes back into the euro area in particular, it threatens to throw off a lot of the expectations of quantitative easing for infinity in that currency area in particular.
Where did this come from, this whole reflation inflation trade? Because it has been something that's caught the attention of markets. We had a bear sitting in that chair yesterday. Finally, Bob Ginger is saying, I don't see where this is coming from. It seemed to be based on the Fed initially, carried across to the ECB with talk of tapering. But the markets simply don't believe tapering is going to happen anyway. So why are we in this reflation trade environment?
So we're in this environment because last year we had a big fall in energy prices. Now we're just suffering the big mechanical base effects. Now those base effects and the small rise we've had in energy prices and the slightly weaker euro are going to get headline inflation in the euro area up to around 1.2%, 1.4% in Q1 of next year.
What about core inflation? Because don't we just ride out some of the challenges with the volatile items, including oil and food?
Well, the thing is that the ECB is mandated against headline. So you would expect that there are some hawks on the governing council and they'll be more interested in what headline inflation's doing. And so they're only been talking about being interested in when inflation is showing signs of moving back towards their mandate, for them to be looking at tapering the policy.
Even incorporating everything that they've announced,
Yes.
we are still way off track over the forecast of horizon for inflation.
Yeah.
So quite frankly, and I made this point the last meeting I was at too before, that actually even based on everything that they've done so far, there's still an argument for further reflationary trading or further QE stimulus based on as we stand now.
Yeah, so the challenge for us, the challenge for the market, I think as always, is not looking at what you think policymakers should do, but trying to predict what they are going to do. We think, for example, that QE needs to be going on until mid-2018 at the earliest for it to be credible at getting headline inflation sustainably up towards target. And really, that credibility comes from core inflation getting up towards 2%.
Is there a trade here, though? Is there a trade here if we see further backup in yields before we get to the December meeting and actually they decide, fine, we'll actually add further stimulus?
Well, I think the trade here is looking at the December meeting and figuring out if this extension, 6-month extension, really is as credible as it suggests, or if there's actually a soft taper in there. And the fear that we have is that there could be a soft taper in the form of there being the ability for the programme to buy bonds below the deposit rate. Because if that exists, then there's a chance that they start to shorten the duration of their purchases. And if they shorten the duration of their purchases, you get a steeper yield curve, you get higher long-term rates, and ultimately you get less effective QE.